Kamala Harris leads Donald Trump by less than half a percentage points based on 110 polls in Decision Desk HQ in the Hill's national average, 47.6% to 47.2%. Given the Electoral College does structurally favor Republicans, this national lead would almost certainly not be enough for Harris to win 270 electoral votes. As always, the key question remains, how are Trump and Harris performing against one another in the key battleground states? On your screen right now is the 2024 Electoral College map, with 7 states left blank here in gray. These are the key battlegrounds where there have been enough polls released between Harris and Trump for Decision Desk HQ to have created an average. The rest of the states are already filled in with my own prediction ratings. These ratings are based on a combination of factors like past results, betting odds, expert ratings, and demographic trends. As you can see up here in the electoral vote counter, former President Donald Trump holds an initial advantage with 235 electoral votes among the states that he is favored to win, leading Vice President Harris with 213 electoral votes. 90 electoral votes remain without a rating. Let's get started now with the latest averages in the upper Rust Belt core trio of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. This trio has decided the last 2 presidential races and is likely to play kingmaker once again, as even if Trump does sweep the Sun Belt battlegrounds of Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, where he has generally polled better so far this cycle, if Kamala Harris can hold these 3 states in the Democratic column, she would hit exactly 270 electoral votes. Let's start in Pennsylvania, the keystone state in name and practice. Its 19 electoral votes are the largest prize among the key swing states. Ask any forecaster out there to name the single most important state on the 2024 map. Most would say Pennsylvania. That's a big reason why Governor Josh Shapiro was considered the favorite to be Harris's VP. Nevertheless, she chose Waltz, and as per the latest polling average, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are exactly tied based on 19 polls in Pennsylvania, 47.2% to 47.2%. Taking a look down here at the last 3 polls added to this average, the New York Times and Siena College had Harris up 3 points most recently, while the Trafalgar Group had Trump ahead by 2%, and then Fabrizio Lee showed them tied. Heading back to our electoral map, the only thing we can do here is place Pennsylvania firmly in the toss-up camp. Let's head over to Michigan now, 15 electoral votes, another relatively large chunk of change here. It has voted to the left of both Pennsylvania and Wisconsin over the last few cycles. As while Trump carried it by only 0.2% in 2016, he won Wisconsin and Pennsylvania both by 0.7%. And then, when Biden flipped the trio back into the Democratic column in 2020, he won Michigan by almost 3 points, Pennsylvania by 1.2%, and Wisconsin by only 0.6%. Now here in 2024, the polls show Harris leading Trump by less than a full percentage point, 0.9%, based on 10 polls, with 47.9% to 47.0%. Again, taking a look at the last 3 polls here, you kind of see the reverse of Pennsylvania. The New York Times, Siena had Trump up 3, Insider Advantage has Harris up 2, and then Public Opinion Strategies has them tied. It's really just this outlier, Harris plus 11 poll from Emerson College, pushing Harris ahead of Trump right now in the overall average. Nevertheless, based on that data, we're going to place Michigan in the tilt blue camp for the vice president. Finally, the state of Wisconsin is generally considered the most Republican-friendly of the 3, both fundamentally and demographically. It's whiter, more religious, and has a lower share of college-educated voters. The latest polling average via DDHQ has Harris up 1.8% based on 13 polls. 49.2% to 47.4%. This is in line with the previous 2 results here in Wisconsin. Remember, it's the only state that was decided by less than a point in both 2016 and 2020. Keep in mind as well that Trump outperformed the polls by a greater margin here in Wisconsin than any other state in both of those elections. Ultimately, though, back on our electoral map, Wisconsin joins Michigan in the tilt blue column, although I would caution against making any strong conclusions based on these ratings, as the margins are all within the margin of error, making all three effectively toss-ups at this point. Now, in terms of the candidates themselves, the vice president is generally expected to underperform Biden here in the Rust Belt, while overperforming him, relatively speaking, across the Sun Belt. That's a factor that played a major role in her final two choices for her running mates, both being governors of states here in this region. We've already seen Harris consolidate a lot of the minority support that Biden had lost in the polls, especially among voters who view both Trump and Biden unfavorably, which is key here in the rapidly diversifying and left-trending Sun Belt region. But that said, she will probably struggle to match Biden's unusually strong backing from older, working-class white voters, which is key in the Rust Belt states. Before we head down to the Sun Belt battlegrounds, though, let's take a pit stop in the Commonwealth of Virginia, a reliably Democratic-leaning state over the last decade. Biden won it by 10 points in 2020 after Clinton carried Virginia by 5% in 2016. Polling this cycle has shown a more competitive race than we otherwise would have expected. Trump even led Biden in several surveys here before he dropped out. But now with Harris in the race, she does lead Trump by 2.6% on average based on 5 polls, 44.9% to 42.3%. That's a smaller sample size than in the other states here, but for now, Virginia will also go down as a tilt blue state on our map. To the Sun Belt we go now, starting in Georgia, the closest state in the 2020 election at Biden plus 0.2. Another formerly reliably Republican state, Biden was the first Democrat to carry Georgia since Bill Clinton in 1992, as the Atlanta metro area has rapidly diversified and a turnout boom among black voters pushed Democrats over the top. As I had mentioned previously, the polls here in 2024 were showing Biden losing ground among black voters against Trump. Now the hope is for Democrats that Harris can stop some of that bleeding and thereby keep Georgia competitive. The latest average via DDHQ has Trump leading Harris by 2.6% based on 12 polls, 48% to 45.4%, yet another average that is trending toward Harris. So the latest two surveys showed Harris leading by a point and the two candidates tied here in Georgia. Trump had previously led in the last 10 polls added to this average. And so going back to our electoral map now, we're going to place Georgia down as tilting towards the GOP, adding 16 electoral votes to Trump, and thereby evening the race to 270, with both candidates at 251 electoral votes apiece, with only the southwest states of Arizona and Nevada to go. Before we get there, though, please take a second to consider subscribing to my channel below. It's completely free, and it does help me out tremendously. According to my channel analytics page, nearly 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. Let's try and get that down to 50-50 by election day. Let's go to Arizona now, Biden's second closest margin of victory in 2020 at 0.3%. He did become the first Democrat to carry Maricopa County, here encompassing the Phoenix metro area, in over 70 years. Maricopa seems to always hold the key to winning elections in Arizona, and similar to Atlanta in Georgia, it has trended to the left over the last decade due to rapid population growth and diversification. Again, Trump had been consistently polling ahead of Biden here in 2024, and that does continue against Harris. The average is Trump plus 1.3 based on 11 polls, 47.6% to 46.3%. Again, though, this is narrower than in our last update and significantly closer than where Biden was against Trump. The last three surveys here are Trump plus 1, Harris plus 3, and Trump plus 2. The overall average does translate over to another tilt GOP rating here on our electoral map, so 11 electoral votes go to Trump from Arizona. And finally, Nevada. There have been numerous positive indicators for Republicans here over the last few cycles, and Trump does enter this cycle in a better position to flip the state than any Republican presidential candidate in recent memory. The latest average via DDHQ in the Hill has him up 2.4% based on 7 polls thus far. Trump is averaging 47.2% across these 7 surveys compared to Harris's 44.8%. The individual poll margins themselves that you see down here have ranged from Harris plus 2 all the way up to Trump plus 10. Ultimately, for one final time, let's head back to the map and place Nevada in the tilt Trump category. So that does it for the polling averages in this video. Donald Trump is favored in the Electoral College race, though neither candidate is currently projected to hit the necessary 270 electoral votes based on the latest polling averages in key battleground states. Former President Trump holds 268, Vice President Harris 251, and 19 electoral votes are labeled as toss-up here in Pennsylvania. These projections do line up closely, but not exactly with the latest betting market odds via Bet Online. As you see here, Harris is the slight favorite to win the 2024 presidential race at minus 125, compared to Trump's plus 105. And then, when we break this down by state, Republicans are currently favored in Arizona and Georgia, whereas Democrats have an edge in Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. It does appear that Nevada is the only state here where the betting odds and poll averages don't quite line up, as traders are placing a bit more weight on Nevada being fundamentally blue. You can feel free to check these odds out for yourself, and if you see a good opportunity to outpredict the market, follow the link in my description. And while you're down there, feel free to let me know in the comments below what you think of this map and these electoral race ratings. As always, please feel free to leave video suggestions down there as well. Shout out to my channel members on screen here. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to become a member, go ahead and click the join button below this video to receive exclusive perks. Make sure to subscribe to my channel down below as well, and please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. You can check out more content from my channel here, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. EP out.